Sorry everyone, don't mind us as we play with a new tech system that hopefully is working. My name is Sam Contra. I'm one of the first year lecturers here at Flinders Law, and I'm joined by Professor Tanya Lehmann, our Dean, who you'll hear from in a moment. I'm just going to do some of the housekeeping things just to get us started, and firstly this is some information about the Event Air app, so you guys should have hopefully downloaded that or been given a link to that, and those people that are in the room can access it, and those people that are joining us online can access it as well, and type in questions and participate in the polls and things like that. So I really encourage you to take a moment just to download that and make sure that you've got it ready to go. Sorry, we're just being joined by a few other people. Hello, welcome, come on in.
Did you say government or law? Oh, government. The government welcome session.
Two rooms that way. Government's 2 rooms that way.
Keep going that way.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, so yes, if you could please log into this, you'll be able to see a poll, hopefully, on your screen that should ask you where you're joining us from today. And I can see already some answers coming in from that. So yeah, it would be really useful if you let us know. We've got some people in the room, we've got some people online, so please let us know about that. Next slide. So yeah, this is the orientation session for law, and I should also mention that this is being recorded. There'll be another slide that tells us that, but we're recording the session, so if anyone misses anything, if any of the tech fails us, we do have a recording to go to, and then we'll jump into we'll hand over to Tanya to do the acknowledgement and also to introduce Michael and his video.
Excellent. So hello to everybody online and hello to people in the room. It's great to have you with us. My name is Tanya Lehmann. I'm the Dean of Law here. And it's really important from my perspective as Dean of Law that we begin by acknowledging the country that we're standing on today. So I want to say to you, Mani Napudni, Gana Yatana Ana, and I want to acknowledge too that law has played a particular role in oppressing and dispossessing Indigenous peoples here in this country and in many other places around the world. So it is important that I acknowledge that I'm standing on the unceded territory of the Kaurna people today as we begin. And I also want to pay my respects to Kaurna elders past and present and acknowledge their continuing responsibility to care for this land and their continuing custodianship of it. And I pay my respects too to First Nations people who are joining us from other locations, and I invite all of you who are joining us online to think about the country that you're joining us from. And if you don't know the name of the First Nations people with the responsibility to care for that country, then I encourage you to find out about that. So, let's just hear, if I can get all the technology to work, let's hear from the Vice President of our college, Michael Gilding. Where am I going to get that from here?
Yep, that one. And then it's the other tab. So in the top.
Professor Michael Gilding, let's hear from him.
So my name is Michael Gilding and I'm the Vice President and Executive Dean of the College of Business, Government and Law at Flinders University. The college includes all the business disciplines. It includes international relations and politics. It includes all the law degrees, and it includes criminology. So if you're studying one of those degrees, you're part of the College of Business, Government and Law. The college is partly about education, but it's about more than that too. So we have some we have our teaching parts of the college, but we also have some research centres, and our teachers and our researchers often work together on large projects, and we engage a lot with industry as well. So it's a big operation at the time. So look, welcome to Flinders. It's wonderful that you've chosen to come here. Some of you will be domestic students from South Australia. Some of you will be from other parts of Australia. Some of you will be from international students from all over the world. Some of you will be doing undergraduate, some of you will be doing postgraduate, some of you will be coming straight from school, and some of you will be doing it as mature age students. So there's a whole lot of different places that you're coming from, but the bottom line is that you're all here to start to study in the College of Business, Government and Law. And of course, the other bottom line is that this is a new phase of your life for all of you. So starting a new qualification, starting a new degree, starting a new career, these are really big decisions. And so this is an important moment, and it's an important point in your lives as you progress. And this is the start of something new, something big. There's a lot of new things that are going to be involved, and you're going to need to acquaint yourself with the university. And of course, it's a complicated time to be acquainting yourself with the university because the last couple of years with COVID, it's really changed things fast. And of course, the way in which we do higher education has already been changing a lot because of new technology and because of online delivery. But COVID has really accelerated all of that and presented all sorts of new challenges for us as educators and as researchers. And so we've had to rethink many of the ways in which we do things and many of the ways in which we work with students. And that's been difficult. It's been really tough. This has been a distressing time. It's been a difficult time. But I don't think we're ever going to go back to the old normal. Like the way things have changed, some of those changes will be embedded in the future. And so it does mean that the way in which you learn to be a student and the way in which you prepare yourself for your new career will be different from the way in which it's happened in earlier times. And that presents particular challenges. So look, just a couple of tips. First of all, whatever you do, take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way as you're coming on board. Like this is a kind of moment of re-socialisation, of preparing yourself for a new discipline, preparing yourself for a new career. And there are a lot of opportunities at the moment, so take advantage of every one of those opportunities. Make sure that you don't get behind. Start off strongly, and then you can kind of make sure that you build really strong foundations. I mean, it's sort of obvious, but it's easy to get distracted, and it's also easy to get a little bit scared when you're starting something new. So make sure you start strongly. And no less important, when you come into a new environment, it's kind of the moment that you're most open. It's the moment you're most open to new ways of thinking. It's the moment you're most open towards making new friends. And when you start a new place, really, I can't stress strongly enough, meet as many people as you are able to. By meeting as many people as you're able to, you'll extend your networks, and so much learning occurs through peer learning. So much learning occurs through talking with other people, sharing ideas with other people, and that's how a lot of learning actually occurs. So meet lots of people, extend your social networks, make them as wide as possible, and that will stand you in really good stead as you go forward. So look, welcome to Flinders. All the very best. I look forward to being in touch with you throughout your degree, and enjoy this time of this. When you start, it's always a little bit disorienting, but it's also really exciting. So make sure you concentrate on the exciting bit. All the best.
Welcome to Flinders University. My name's Janine Clark, and I'm an enrolment course advisor. This is my colleague, this is Samantha Di Francesco, and she's an enrolment course advisor in the College of Business, Government and Law. Just a few points for your enrolment. If you need any help with general course advice, call Flinders Connect. You can contact them on 1300 354 633, or you can lodge an Ask Flinders request and they'll be happy to help you. 1 or 2 topics is classed as part-time. 3 or 4 topics is classed as full-time, which is a full-time study load. If you have a combined degree, please make sure that you find the combined degree course rules, because they are different to the standalone course rules. We don't want you taking topics that are not included in your combined degree. There are also study planners on the web pages that you can search for that will give you an overview of all your degree. Again, if you need any help or support, please contact Flinders Connect. To contact me or Samantha, please lodge an Ask Flinders request, and we'll be happy to help you with more general and more course advice.
A lot of our degrees have both option topics and elective topics that you can take throughout your degree. If you are unsure about which elective topics you might want to take, we do have an elective advice webpage which do put different areas of study together, which might help you enhance skills across your degree. These can be different study areas such as innovation, communication skills, or any industry experience. We do also have option topics which are more specific to the degree that you are studying. For example, if you're studying a business degree, you will do business option topics, and that will help you study an area of business that is not specific to your specialisation or your major area. Throughout your business degree, you will also be given an opportunity to potentially undertake an industry placement. This will also be within the law and legal practice, national relations and political sciences degree. For further information, you might wish to speak to your course coordinator about those specific industry experiences. To find your course rule, you can go onto the university's handbook. On here, you can find all of the topics that are offered in each semester. It is probably best to also look at your study plan, because that will help you break down which topics you should be enrolling into and when these should be enrolled.
For your enrolment, first year topics, the code, it starts with a 1, second year topics start with a 2, third year topics start with a 3, and fourth year topics start with a 4. Sometimes students get confused, and when they're in their first year, they enrol into second or third year topics. We recommend that you enrol into first year topics that starts with a 1.
It is important to remember when you're enrolling that you enrol into 4 topics for each semester and no more than this in your first year. This is whether you're in a standalone degree or a combined degree. If you are enrolled in more than 4 topics, you may wish to contact Flinders Connect to see what the problem is with your enrolment. If you've received your offer and you've not yet accepted or been admitted into your course, the best way to start is probably by contacting Flinders Connect, because they can help you activate your Flinders system and help you to confirm and update your details and then enrol in your relevant topics. There are critical enrolment dates throughout your studies. The first one to look for is the last day to enrol. This is generally the second Friday of semester 1, so week 2. You can change your enrolment and your timetable up until this date. The next date that you may wish to look for is the census date. So if you remain enrolled past this date, this will go as part of your record. However, if you get up to this date and you decide to withdraw before or on the date, that won't be part of your record of study. Just to keep in mind, if you are enrolled past the census date, this is when you end up paying for the topic, and that will go to your help debt, or you may pay it up front if you are not a Commonwealth supported student. Along with paying for the topics, you also pay a student services and amenities fees, which goes to everything non-academic on campus. So that goes to things such as the library, the upkeep of the campus, and all of the amenities that you find and are able to use on campus. Please keep in mind that these are also the clubs, the health and counselling, and all other things you might be able to access online. So if you are an online student, you also are required to pay these fees. These, again, are different to your tuition fees, so you do need to submit a separate help form. So this might be something you may wish to contact Flinders Connect about if you are unsure how to submit this.
So for all you students, we have many services that are available to you. Please reach out, and any member of staff will be happy to direct you to the right services that are available.
All of the help services on campus are free of charge to students, and this ranges from free health, counselling and disability support services, as well as our student learning support services, which is helping with academic support. These can be accessed through, again, Flinders Connect. They can point you in the right direction, but if you want more specific advice, you can reach out to the health and counselling and disability services directly, or again, the student learning support services.
So please reach out. You can reach out at any time of the semester. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be the start or near the end. Please reach out for support. If you're overwhelmed, lodge an Ask Flinders request. We'll be very happy to help you.
Okay, I might just talk a little bit more about this app that we're using while Tanya sets this up. I'll just come over so I'm in view. So as you heard, we have lots of different supports for students, and you'll hear a lot more about this throughout the semester. So earlier I mentioned that we're using an app as a way to engage with our participants online and in person. You will have downloaded that we've forced you to as part of the orientation stuff. So I just wanted to reiterate how to access the polls and how to ask questions throughout this session. And of course, if you're in the room, you're welcome to put your hand up and ask a question. We're very happy to, to take questions that way as well. Once you go into the app, once you're logged in, if you click on the orientation program sort of link and look at today's list, you can then click on the law session and you'll get a list of different options. So there'll be polls, live Q&A, you can take notes in the session if you want to, and some information about the session as well. When we make a poll live, which we'll just move over here and do, you'll see a little button that says live come up next to the poll option on your phone. So when you click that, it'll ask you a particular question. So this one that I've just put up now says, how are you feeling about starting your law studies? So just pop in a word. It could be excited, you could be nervous, whatever you're feeling at the moment, just pop that in. It's anonymous, so we can't tie it to a particular student, but we'd love to just hear how you're feeling as we move on. And there'll be random questions that we do ask you to engage with across the session as well. Sorry, Tanya, I'll pass back to you.
Excellent. So it's wonderful to have you in the room with us, and I want to make sure that we have a chance to chat to you at the end of the session, but also wonderful for all those who are joining online. So my name, as I've already said, is Tanya Lehman. I am the Dean of Law here. I've been the Dean of Law since 2017, and I'm really proud to be associated with Flinders Law because we are doing some really, really exciting things here. So in 2020 we completely refreshed our curriculum, and now I can honestly say that the curriculum that law students undertake here at Flinders Law is one that leads both nationally and internationally. So we have our eye firmly fixed on the future, and we know that in the time between when you start your law studies and when you graduate, the world is going to change. If you think back to the last 5 years, how much change has happened, and even in the last 2.5 years as a result of COVID. We've seen things that I never thought that I would see in my lifetime. And those things include having large Supreme Court trials run completely online, moving to an online court management system where all the documents are managed online, moving to a situation where we now have our Legal Services Commission in this state heading up a national program to create an app to assist people in family relationship breakdown, to get legal advice immediately online, 24/7 for free via their computer, and it draws on the data for all family law clients in Australia. So in fact, that application now has a better opportunity of assessing potential outcomes if you go to court than any human lawyer does in that context. So that's just a few of the changes that have happened in the last 5 years. And what we're seeing is that there are so many more changes to come. So we are thrilled that here at Flinders Law, all of our students get rigorous legal innovation training right in your first year. So you'll engage in your first year at university. So for you, that might be, as you're starting mid-year, it might be that you start that half in this semester and then half in the semester to come. So you'll undertake a specific topic, helping you to think really creatively and innovatively about the law, legal innovation and creative thinking. And then the second innovation topic that you'll take is about legal innovation for social justice impact, because it's not just about changing things up. What I'm really passionate about is how can we think really differently about the law to make legal information more available, more accessible, more affordable for more people. And that's what we're on about here at Flinders Law. We've got a history of 30 years of a really deep commitment to social justice and thinking differently, and leading really boldly and fearlessly, as our university slogan says. So you'll do that. You'll do the really important core legal topics, and most of those you'll do later on in your degree in second and later years. And when I say really important, they're the topics that you're required to do as part of being admitted to practice, and so they are externally accredited. And then for our our undergraduate Bachelor of Laws and Legal Practice students, again, what you will do is that you will do two really important topics that set the scene for you. One of those is Indigenous peoples, colonialism and the law, starting with understanding that the legal system that we use today sits on a legal system that's over 60,000 years old here in this country. And what does that mean? And how should we think about incorporating those knowledges into our own legal system? And as I started off by saying when I gave the acknowledgement of country, how has the law been involved in dispossessing and oppressing Indigenous people? And what role might the law have in changing that approach? So that's one thing. And then the flip side of that is international law and global perspectives. Because what we know now, and we've seen it particularly in the last 2.5 years, is that we're not just an island here in Australia, but our economy, our people, everything is interconnected. And that includes our legal system. So all of our students undertake this exposure to international law, which is critical. And those two topics really are unique amongst legal education in Australia. As I've said, our undergraduate students here on campus do all of the rigorous topics required for admission, but we know that you need more than that. And so all of our students here do a really exciting topic called Law in a Digital Age, where you will work in teams with real clients from the not-for-profit sector, and you will build a legal solution for them on open source software. We're one of 4 universities internationally who is working with this open source software, so we are right at the forefront of this legal innovation internationally. Since July 2019, our students have created over 50 applications for over 25 clients, and a number of those clients now have commissioned those applications and they're using them in operation in their real life. So whilst you're here as a student, as an undergraduate student, you can have the opportunity to really start making a difference and get that fabulous experience at client interviewing, client project management, working in teams, all of those collaborative skills that are so critical going forward. So that's just some of the things in store for you as an on-campus undergraduate student. And now if I speak to people who are online who have enrolled in our JD.
Just flick 2 slides over.
Okay, sorry, forgotten about the slides. So if we're thinking about our JD, you are also enrolled in a highly innovative program. So our JD is one of only 2 JDs, no, only a few JDs that I'm aware of that are entirely 100% online in Australia. But ours is the only one that has been developed from the absolute get-go as a problem-based learning approach to postgraduate legal education. So you'll see that all the topics are formulated as modules, very much authentically based problems for you to wrestle with, because we understand that you've already got experience studying at university, and many of you are working full-time and looking at the JD as enhancing your career or giving you a stepping stone to promotion. So we're really proud of what our JD offers in terms of giving you the skills really to solve legal problems in the workplace. Our JD has just recently been accredited by our Legal Practitioners Education and Admission Council, who came in and really went over everything with a fine-tooth comb and gave us an absolute vote of confidence, recognising that this is a whole new way of thinking about postgraduate legal education and highly commending us for the approach and the outcomes for students. So we're really looking forward to meeting you either online, in the online space, or those of you who are on campus. And of course, for our on-campus options, we have just about every class will have a hybrid option, because we understand that people get COVID or people get sick or whatever and can't come to campus. So we have every option to make accessing classes and learning as flexible as possible. Is there anything else that I need to say about the sorts of opportunities? I know. And that is, when you're thinking about your legal studies, there are lots of opportunities to get involved in things. And you'll find out about those, particularly via announcements on our Flinders Learning Online pages. So we've got one for our undergraduate LLB or P community and one for our JD community. And so regularly we'll be posting information about scholarships, employment opportunities, clerkships. Come in. And lots of opportunities for you to really start to get experience, build your networks, connect with other students, get paid employment, get work experience. So make sure you take those up. And our Flinders Law Students Association representatives are going to be talking to us in a few minutes about some of the opportunities to get involved in the extracurricular events there too. But please take those up, because what my experience shows is that where we've had students who've really embraced those opportunities, that has often led to a further opportunity, paid employment, connecting with a particular mentor, and really can set you up. So we are hopeful that we've provided lots and lots of things that can really give you the best start, both in your studies here at university, but then launching you beyond into your legal career. And of course your legal career starts right now. So this is an exciting new step. I will just say this about studying law. You're studying law, and you're studying law using the English language, and you think you're really familiar with the English language, and then you'll read your first legal case or your first bit of legal material and you think, I thought I spoke English and read English and could write in English, and I've just read this piece of legal writing and I don't understand what it's talking about. So think of yourself in your law studies as being taken out of an environment that looks just like this, placed in another environment that looks just like this, but is in fact completely different. So you'll get introduced to new ways of reading, new ways of writing, new ways of thinking about problems, new ways of exploring problems, new ways of solving problems. And what we find too is that as you start to get yourself really embedded in that whole way of thinking, it can change the whole way that you look at the world. What I know now is that if we look at what's happening in the world around us, if we look at some of the challenges that we're facing internationally, economically, with climate change, with movement of people around the world, with trade, with data, with technology, if we look at all of those challenges, the law has a role in every single one of them. But not everyone who's got a law degree and not everyone who calls themselves a lawyer is equipped to meet those challenges. So what we're on about here is equipping you to meet those really big, complex challenges and giving you those skills to step up and lead and look at things and find a creative new way for the law to respond to those problems.
We have our first question.
Oh, excellent.
So we have our first question online, and I will encourage everyone to log into the app and type in questions. You can ask us anything you want about studying law or settling into uni. Our first question is about transferring between degrees. So is it difficult to transfer into laws and legal practice from a Bachelor of Law and Society?
No, it's not. And that the answer to that question is if you're doing the Bachelor of Law and Society, then the place to get the best answer to that question is by putting in an Ask Flinders request and speaking to Janine or Samantha, and they can assist you in terms of what topics you've already done that will count towards a law degree and what else you'll need to do. So once you're already here and you're studying a particular degree, then it's a matter of applying for an internal transfer. And that can happen after the first semester, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. That's our only question.
That's our only question?
So far.
Any questions from people in the room? No? Okay.
Okay, so I might jump in and
Absolutely.
talk about some of the first year topics. I'll just start an extra question on the app. So this one is, what made you decide to study law in 5 words or less? Actually, Tanya, what made you decide to study law when you started your law studies in 5 words or less?
I wanted to change the world.
Cool. Excellent.
Just a big ambition there.
Yeah, just a bit. I'm going to come over so that I'm
Yes,
in view
sure.
as I talk about a few things. So I'll just cycle back a couple of slides. So I'm Sam Contra. There. I am a lecturer in law. I teach first year topics. So basically, whether you're studying an undergrad law degree, whether you're studying the JD, I'm one of the first people you will see. For undergrad students, I teach Law 1312. Sorry, I still get the numbers wrong after how many years, which is Essential Legal Skills. And for those studying the JD, I teach Law 9602, Legal Analysis and Problem Solving. As you can probably tell from the titles, they tie very heavily into what Tanya's been saying so far today. We're going to learn similar things with different approaches in both topics. So in the undergrad program, in Essential Legal Skills, we'll learn a lot about problem solving. We'll learn a lot about some of the hands-on legal skills that you need to develop. So things like client interview, negotiation, partly because negotiation is my pet topic, and have spent many years looking into legal negotiation, and you'll hear all about that in the topic.
And writing a PhD on it.
And writing a PhD on it, which I can actually talk about for hours, and I won't. Probably people at FULSA have heard this many times, but yes, we'll save that for the negotiation competition. So negotiation is something that we'll talk about quite a bit. The other topic I spend a lot of time thinking about is torts, which is all Tanya's fault, because I first started teaching torts with Tanya many years ago now, and fell in love with it. And so I talk a lot in Essential Legal Skills about medical negligence, which is another one of my pet topics. In 9602, so this is our online JD, one of the first topics you do, again, legal analysis and problem solving. We have a heavy approach on problem solving, how to approach problem solving, what to do when you're presented with a legal problem. I think no matter which of the law degrees that you're studying with us, and I asked that earlier, and we have a nice spread of students listening who are studying all of our various law degrees, you know how to problem solve. Coming into law school, you know how to problem solve. You just don't know how to problem solve in a legal way just yet. It's like if you're taking on a new job. And let's say that you've worked at the same place for years and you decide to move to a different company. You're doing the same role, but suddenly everything's different. So let's say that you're working at Woolworths and you decide to move to Coles. And suddenly you're going through and you're processing someone's groceries through the checkout, and the software they're using is different. And you don't know how to access things, or you don't know where the things are. But you know it in theory, you just don't know how to apply it to that situation yet. And you don't beat yourself up about it, because it's just something that you have to learn how to do, but you already have a good idea and you know you can do it. That's the same thing in law. So you already have these skills. We just want to sort of move them into that legal situation and teach you how to do this in a legal way. So we're trying to take the skills that you have, harness them, and really start honing them and applying them to that legal situation. Tips. My tips. Actually, the slides don't matter. We'll also go to some other slides in a minute. So one of the things on both sets of slides is about top tips for starting out at university. My biggest tip, and Tanya will, I'm sure, talk about this a little bit more in a minute, because this is one of the things she constantly says that I'm stealing, is to make a friend. It's really important to have those connections, to feel that you belong in the place where you're studying, but to have that person to talk to. And it could just be, after a workshop in person or after an online session for our JD students, you might say, oh, Sam said this thing that doesn't make any sense. This is common, okay? And having someone that you can say that to, who's like, oh no, she means this, or no, I have no idea either, let's email her. That just gives you that extra support network, and that's really important, particularly when you're doing something new, particularly when you're doing something that's hard. And law is hard. There are various difficult things about it that we'll explain to you and prepare you for and help you tackle along the way. That's why we're here. The other tip I have is write everything down. If you have a question, and I really encourage you to ask questions, and you're all going to get sick of me saying that, write it down, because you'll forget. We all have this thing where we think that we're going to remember everything, and we think that we're going to remember to ask someone something. You won't. So you're taking in so much new information when you start your studies. Just write it down. And it might be that you have a question, again, I'll prime Tanya for a question for later, but it might be, what does J mean? Right? And you might write that down, and this will make sense later. And as you work through your readings, as you work through the classes, you think, oh, I can answer that question myself. And that's great. But otherwise you might forget about it. So just writing down those questions as they come up, I think is really important. I say this from experience that I tend to forget things, so you should see that, actually no, you don't want to see the notes folders on my phone. They are numerous and yeah, there's a lot and it's not very organised, but I have lots and lots of things so that I can remember what I'm doing and how I want to build it together and things like that. I've done the full-time study while full-time work and all of that sort of thing, so I kind of get the juggle of all of it, and yeah, the notes folders on my phone reflects that. That's about it from me for the time being. I don't know if I've missed.
So I'm going to add some other tips. And that is, if you are an undergraduate student here on campus, or if you are a JD student in essential legal skills and legal analysis and problem solving, you will have access online to our New in Law guide. And that guide has been put together now over more than a decade's worth of experience, and drawing on a lot of deep research about what helps first year law students be successful. So we've put together that guide. We've actually won awards on the basis of that material, so we know it's good. And it's important for you to access the guide and read the guide, because it really will step you through expectations about starting law here at Flinders and how to be successful as a law student. So that will be on your Flinders Learning Online website for those introductory topics, Essential Legal Skills 1312 and 9602. So make sure you read it, make sure you have a look at it, make sure you can keep referring back to it, particularly around the time of due dates for assessment, referencing, where can I get various supports, how might I think about interacting with mentors, and we'll talk about mentors in a minute, but lots of opportunities for you to really give yourself some great tips from that guide. So that's the first thing that I would say.
Actually, can I just jump
Yes.
in there? I really should have angled this camera so I don't have to run across the stage every time, but that's okay. And I won't put the people in the room under pressure for this one, but normally at this stage I would say something like, who's feeling overwhelmed? But I won't make you put your hands up. The senior students in the room probably already, yeah, there we go. Yep, good. Tanya, yep.
Yes.
All right, so what I'm going to say about that is that, and I can only talk to my topics because those are the only ones I'm running at the moment, just log into Flow, and I'll talk more about Flow in a minute, but Flinders Learning Online, just watch the intro video. The intro video for the topic, whether it's 1312 or 9602, it will set you up. It's about 15 minutes for 1312 and about 10 minutes for 9602. Just watch it. It sets up how the topic works. It gives you some information about what you need to do, where you find some information to help you go through the topic, what will happen week to week, what will happen if you have workshops or if you don't have workshops or things like that. Just watch that. Watch that as your starting point, and then you'll see week by week or module by module there'll be information about what you need to do each time. So this is a very confusing, very overwhelming, oh my gosh, what have I done sort of time these next few weeks as you sort of muddle through those initial stages. But just always go back to those flow sites, have a look, take a deep breath and sort of work through logically, and that will really help to orient you.
Indeed. So part of the challenge of being at university is that we treat you as adult independent learners. So we've put everything up there. We've drawn on our expertise as educators, we've drawn on the research to build a learning experience for you that's designed to take you through. But it's like giving you a wrapped up present. You'll only know what's in the box if you undo the ribbon and take off the wrapping and then use it. So there are lots of fabulous resources there, and so we do encourage you to really make the most of them. Now, I'm conscious that we've got some Student Association reps to hear from, but just before I hand over to you, and you'll need to grab the microphone from Sam when we do that, I just wanted to point people to an article in this weekend's Financial Review, Australian Financial Review, the article that's just gone. So it's entitled, "Wanted an extra 1.2 million workers in the next 4 years." And it says Australia will need 1.2 million more workers within 4 years, including over 20,000 solicitors and and more barristers. So it goes on to say more traditional professional roles will also be in high demand. So they've been talking about robotics and what have you. The number of legal professionals generally will grow by 20% to hit nearly 120,000 by the end of 2026, with the number of barristers in Australia predicted to jump 22.5% to 9,000 and solicitors by 21% to nearly 100,000. And it comes as law firms of all sizes flag recruiting and retaining lawyers as a key barrier to growth, with some offering business-wide pay rises in a desperate bid to keep staff, as well as bonuses, matching competing offers, and ramping up graduate recruitment. And I want to tell you about my experience already. So word is getting out about the skills that Flinders Law students are learning whilst they're here at Flinders. Because there are very, very few other law students in Australia who have specific rigorous innovation training and who have exposure to a topic like law in a digital age. So I now have firms from other states contacting me saying, we want to employ your students now, how can we get access to them? And we also have students who have been approached to do particular internship opportunities because of the skills that they've built here, that have then gone on the back of that, to win roles at major international firms like, for example, PwC or EY. We also have students who have come into law through non-traditional pathways here in our undergraduate degree, have built those skills in law in a digital age, and have leapfrogged from being the absolute junior in their law firm to leading that law firm's innovation team. And so for undergraduate students, you can have a look on Flow LLB community at the new module there that I've put up about law in a digital age, and there's a whole collection of videos from students talking about their experience and how that's really been a launch pad for them to get paid employment before they've even graduated. And what I also know about our JD students is that our JD students are finding that they are really well equipped to engage in those new roles. So our JD's only been going for 5 years, but our graduates really are proving themselves very, very successful in obtaining senior roles, not just in traditional legal roles, but also in leadership positions, and that's very exciting to see. So we're delighted to have our next crop of students coming in. So now, can I introduce our two representatives from Flinders Law Students Association, and would you like to come, India and Marion, come and talk about what you can offer to our undergraduate students and our postgraduate students?
And your slides are built in, so
you can press go.
I can handle the slides first.
Okay. So my name's Mary. I'm a second year law student, and I'm doing a double degree with international relations and political science. And this is India. India's in her 4th year of laws and legal practice. And we're both part of Flinders Law Students Association. And what we do is we try and provide support for all law students, postgrad and undergrad, both with like academia as well as running exterior like competitions such as witness negotiation, client negotiation, and things like that. And we also do like other events, like we organise business, government and law ball, just to help network and to help make friends. And yeah, that's...
And you sell merch?
Yeah, oh yeah, and we have, yeah, and we're just celebrating our 30th anniversary, so we've got a special edition merch out available.
Hi, as Mary said, I'm now in my 4th year of Bachelor of Laws, and yeah, my name's Indy. I'll talk about some of the competitions and events that we run as like the Students Association. If you guys want to get involved, you know, it's a great way to, as Mary said, meet new people, get involved in like the actual law students community. If you want to do it in like a professional development way, we've got like our open client interview, which means at any stage of your degree, you can enter, you basically practice interviewing someone who's like assuming the role of a client. Last semester's one was really successful, it was really good, people really enjoyed it. First year moot is also good. That's basically you write submissions and give submissions in front of actual lawyers from other firms. I did the open moot and won last year, which was really fun, and it was so good for developing actual professional skills that you use in practice. So I'd really recommend it. Yeah.
I was just going to say we really encourage first year students to get involved in this stuff, not only because it relates to what you're taught in class, so you can have like a more hands-on approach, but it's also really good in terms of networking with older students who have been through what the new students are going through now, and it's just really interesting to talk to fourth year students about how they went in certain topics and what they've learned and how far they've come from the start. So that's why we really encourage first year students especially to get involved.
And I'm just going to add something to that, not that I'm part of this presentation, but to say, as I've judged some of those first year competitions before, as has Sam, but often the grand finals are judged by members of the profession. And if you want to start building your networks right from first semester of first year, being involved, meeting the judges, getting them to see how highly competent you are is a really great first step.
Yeah,
so absolutely.
After open moot, we had a couple of the judges were from Old Port Chambers and offered me a job after the comps was finished. So like, yeah, you get to meet actual professionals, and it's a good way to get employment opportunities and things. We've also got negotiation, which is really fun. You basically enter in, I think it's pairs, and go through a few rounds practicing, like going to negotiations with just like a page of material and, you know, facing off against, I guess, another team of students and seeing who can get a good outcome, if you can come to a collaborative outcome. So yeah, all the registrations are open now. Our friend Maddie runs it, so that's her email at the bottom. Yeah, I'd really, really encourage you guys to get involved. It's such a good way to meet people and just like practice your skills. We've also got actual fun events. So we've got the Welcome Back Mixer, which is on the 29th of July. That's basically just at Atlantis. There's going to be some food, some drinks. Everyone's welcome. I'll be there. Mary will be there. Yeah, it'll be good. We've also got so that's free as well, so you just buy your own drinks and stuff. Our Law and Business Ball, which is going to be cool. That's on.
It's also really, really popular, and it's one of our most popular events that we run.
Yeah, so the early bird tickets are already sold out, but if you go through, you can get to it through like our Instagram, Facebook, like our website, whatever. Tickets are still available. We're also planning a pub crawl, but details to come. So yeah, keep on our socials for that. Yeah, our office is also like literally over there. So if you're around, like next week.
Yeah, next week.
Next week, if you're around on campus and you want to come say hi, like I'll be there, Mary will be there, other people in Fulsa. If you have any questions, you know, law and non-law related, we're around to help. So yeah, feel free to come and say hi.
That's where you can also buy merch as well.
Yes, we've got like hoodies and polos and hats and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and also you should also follow us on social media as well, because a lot of law firms contact us through this way and ask us to post clerkships, internships, things like that. So it's also good for career advice as well.
Cool. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us at the end. We'll be milling around.
Fantastic, thank you very much. I echo the comments about competitions. I think if I think back, so I did my degree here at Flinders, if I think back to my very first semester of study, I didn't say a word to anyone for that whole first semester. I did not like public speaking, I didn't like being involved with, and here I am now as a lecturer, and this is what I do for a living. I can't say that fear of public speaking has completely gone, but I have a lot of tips, and I tend to give students these tips as we do things like the competitions. So I really, really encourage you to get involved. The next thing I'm going to encourage you to get involved with is our mentoring program. Now, this is specifically for undergraduate students, and this is undergraduate students across the college, so criminology, business, government and law. I run this mentoring program, and it's a fantastic way just to connect with senior students and to have the opportunity to get to know each other, to ask questions, to have the questions that you want to ask presented to you without you knowing you want to ask those questions just yet. So I'm going to hand over to Marielle, who's one of our mentors, to tell you a bit more about the program.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So yes, my name is Marielle. I am in my 5th year of a double degree in law and international political science. I also do a Bachelor of Letters on the side. So I've been at uni for a really long time. This is my 7th year of uni altogether. So like most of the mentors, I know my way around. We're pretty familiar with kind of what happens at the uni. As Sam said, mentors are basically there to help you with everything from academia to social, to getting around the uni, to just kind of finding your way, which can be really intense. It's been echoed already that law is pretty overwhelming and everything you've ever learnt will kind of go out of the window. And mentors are a fantastic opportunity to connect with someone who can help you with things like readings and ways to look at information and maybe understand it a little bit better, and even things like how to reference. So it's a really, really great resource. We run sessions throughout the whole semester for about half an hour once a week, and these are available in person and online. So you'll basically get allocated a mentor and you'll hear from them. It is an opt-in program, so you aren't required to attend, but we do highly encourage it. It is a very, very rewarding way to get involved at uni. We'll give you information that is relevant week to week, so whether that's coming into your mid-semester break, coming into exams, whatever that looks like, we'll give you really relevant and timely information. But you can also contact us via our email addresses, ask us any questions. It's a really great first point of call. If you have a question but you don't know where to direct the question to, we can take the question, pass it on to the right people, and make sure you're getting the help you need. It's a fantastic program. I would have absolutely loved to be involved in this when I was in first year. I definitely should have taken up the opportunity and I did not. But it is a really valuable way to kind of have someone that's looking out for you as well. You've always got someone to go to with your questions.
That's it. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you. And you'll hear from Mario, who will be the mentor for this semester for law and for government as well. And you will hear from her later this week or early next week, as soon as I can follow up all the details that we need. The other program that runs at Flinders is new this semester. It's called the Flinders Friends program. There's some information on the slide, but basically all you need is the link down the bottom. But basically this is another opportunity just to connect with people. I said at the very beginning that one of the best things you can do when you're starting a degree or you're starting your university studies is to make a friend. Whether that friend is in your discipline, so in law, whether they are in a different area of the college or the university, it doesn't matter, but it's really important to just have someone who sort of gets what the university vibe is about and to be able to connect with them. So there are a few different events up there that are being run as part of this program, and I encourage you to check that out as well. Particularly if you're based in Adelaide and you want that opportunity to connect with other students. There's some more information about some of the different things that you might want to find out more about and where you can look for some of that information. As Tanya mentioned earlier, Ask Flinders, so this one here, not that you can see me pointing, I can see this on the recording, but the third dot point down. Ask Flinders is a really good port of call for any question, essentially, that you have, and indeed sometimes your mentor might actually point you to Ask Flinders as a good way to lodge your question, though always ask them as well. And now, if Tanya would like to facilitate this next part,
Yes.
We will jump into a Q&A.
So we've got people online with questions and opportunity if you've got questions here in the room.
And also opportunity for any of the senior students in the room to ask us questions you wish you would have known the answer to. And I can start us off, so I'm going to put in a poll for those of you that have your phones out. So the question that I'm posting is, have you accessed Flow or logged onto your university email account as yet? The possible answers are yes, no, or I am not sure what these are. I'm going to give it a moment to see. Oh yes, we've got some responses coming in. And I'm just going to address that last. I'm not sure what these are point. So Flinders Learning Online is our...
Do you want to bring in?
Yeah, I think I will. I was just thinking that. Thank you. So Flinders Learning Online is our learning management system. So it's the way that we give you information about your topics. It's where we post everything. It's where you submit your assignments. It's where you can connect with staff and students. If you haven't yet found Flinders Learning Online, you can log in through Okta, which is where you can access all of your university apps, let's say. So I really encourage you to have a look on there, and you'll have a page on Flinders Learning Online on Flow for each different topic, and as Tanya mentioned, a few extras like the LLB-LP community or the JD community. I'm hoping I don't have to explain email, but you also have a Flinders email run through Outlook, and we really encourage you to make sure that's all set up and ready to go. If you push your emails to your phone, make sure that the Outlook emails are pushed to your phone, and that when you're responding or sending emails related to uni, you use that Outlook account, because otherwise staff may not get your emails. So please do try to use those official uni channels.
And can I just make another suggestion about communicating with staff, and that is if you've got questions about a particular topic, make sure that you have a look at Flow first to see if the question, Flow for that topic, to see if the answer to that question is already there. But then when you are sending an email to a staff member, put the topic code as the first thing in the subject line. So if it's about essential legal skills, you would put LLAW 1312 in the subject line. And that means that when Sam sees that come through in her email inbox, she knows that it's a query about that topic. Some of us, including me, have rules set up in our email inbox so that if a particular subject line comes through, then the alert comes for us. So it is really important to use your Flinders address, because if you're using other addresses, it might just go straight through to our spam files and we don't see them. So use your Flinders address and put the subject line in the email.
And I will say also, Tanya, you might want to just stay up here so
Okay.
we can answer questions.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about emails is often students in their first year are a bit nervous about how to email staff members. So one of the things that you'll find in the topic guide for essential legal skills, as well as in that New in Law handbook, is a template that you can use. So you can sort of delete the bits you don't want, but it's a good way to make sure that you're including all of the key information that you need to, and your mentors are also primed to help with that as well.
So I can see that we've got a question online. Can a Juris Doctor be started by anyone who has completed a bachelor degree? And the answer to that is yes, any bachelor degree except for a Bachelor of Laws or Bachelor of Laws of Legal Practice, because otherwise you're doing effectively the same study, but you're doing it at an undergraduate level and a postgraduate level. So yes, any other discipline, so long as you've already completed your bachelor degree there, you can enrol in a Juris Doctor.
Excellent. Does anyone else have any questions? And senior students, I'm going to turn to you for your top tips in a minute.
Yes.
So
Hang on,
where can
I'll just
access-
bring the microphone over if you don't mind. Sorry.
I mean, it's not a big question. I was just wondering where I can access the slides and the resources that are being presented here today. Is it on Flow?
I think it will be.
I can do that. You can actually access them in the app. So in the app under presented or under notes, you can actually download the slides there.
All right.
Yeah, I've made a couple of tweaks, but just to the order of slides, not to the content.
Okay.
And the other thing is that as an undergraduate student, you should have access to Flow LLB or P Community. And so there's modules in there for first year students with lots of information in there as well.
And I'll put the slides there too.
Okay, thank you.
And for anyone that wants to watch this again, the link to the recording I'll put up there as well. Any other questions? Okay, so if we don't have other questions, I'm going to invite our 3 senior students up again to share a tip, something that you would have liked to know about starting to study law, something you wish you would have done. You can't say go to mentoring because Marielle's already done that. So you come
just move
and
that way.
tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, come. You can see if you're on the screen. Yeah. Yep. So we'll pass the microphone down. Who wants to? Yep.
I don't have anything yet. Do you have
Okay.
something first?
It's on.
Okay.
My biggest thing is to take advantage of the library. There's so many good textbooks in the library that have helped me on so many assignments. Because uni is a lot of independent learning. So, like the best thing I found was just going to the library, and there's just a whole range of textbooks. And more often than not, the textbooks have problem answer questions at the back of each chapter that help so much, and have helped me a lot personally with like how to write in a legal way and how to answer problem questions. That's my biggest tip.
You got one?
No, you.
Okay, I'll
Go
go.
ahead.
Marielle, just move that way.
Sorry. No, you're all good.
Yeah.
There we go. Happy?
My biggest tip is a bit unconventional, and I probably only figured it out for myself in about 3rd year. But when you go on Flow, particularly the first time, there are so many readings and there's so much information that you can look at a week and just think that's just way too much and I can't do it. But I realised quite quickly that if you break down your study into really manageable times, like 20-minute blocks, and then take like a 20-minute break, you'd be surprised how much you can get done and still have time for heaps of other things. So at the start of the week, take a look at what you've got. if you do a solid 20 minutes of work and then take a break, you'd be surprised how much you achieve, and you end up still having time for work and a social life and all the other fun things.
I guess my tip's kind of connected into that, and it's prioritise. I don't think that I have ever managed to do every single reading, look at every single case, whatever, for a topic. I mean, I don't know if I should be saying this on recording. It has literally never happened for me. The resources and the readings are important, but if, like me, you're studying full-time, working full-time, have like commitments outside of uni, you probably won't get it all done. So go through, work out what is the most important and how you learn best as well. For example, don't do all the case readings if it goes in one ear and out the other. Like, manage your time based on how you work best. If you're someone who doesn't do well for long periods, don't work in long periods. If you, like me, tend to like hyperfixate and then not be able to focus on anything for ages, take advantage of like your upswings, you know, just make study work for you how it works for you. Don't get too hung up on kind of what everyone else is doing. Just, you'll get into your flow, be patient, it'll happen.
Can I add a tip to that?
Yes,
Sorry.
go.
I just got inspired by something she said.
I have that effect.
It was just on the cases. So something that really helped me when I read a case was, before I even started reading it, I would Google the case and find out what the case was about really generally, like a summary of the case. Because then when you're reading through it, you know, sometimes cases have a whole lot of information about like a really niche background part of it that's actually not what the point of the case is trying to get across. So if you have a summary in mind, when you read it, it'll make a lot more sense than just starting at the very top of the case and reading however many pages there are to the bottom.
I'm going to contradict that slightly.
Okay.
One, as the person that teaches you how to do legal research, don't use Google. Two, I would teach you about something better to use than Google that you get the same information from. And three, never read a case from start to finish. And I'll tell you more about that in week 2. Now, I'm going to add a couple of tips, and I think I agree with everything, pretty much except the Google point.
Yeah, sorry, Google was out. Use Ostley.
Don't use Ostley. No Google, no Ostley.
Okay, I don't know then.
Case Citator. Use a Case Citator first point or Casebase. No one has any idea what I'm talking about, but I will explain this in the coming weeks and teach you how to use them to maximum effect. What I was going to say is that point about finding what works best for you in terms of study, I think that's so important. We give you information in lots and lots of different ways. So we give you some reading, so written form, we give some lectures, we might even give you some podcasts, we give you lots of different ways to take in similar information. You need to think about how you learn best. If you learn best by reading, fantastic. If you learn best by watching me on a screen explaining things to you, that's great too. So it's finding, how do you want to start? For me, I find it a lot easier if someone's explaining something to me. So if someone's explaining that, I can really use that to get a good idea about what the information is that I need to take in. Once I have that overview, it becomes a lot easier to read something about it. I know other people, and I know when I went through law school, a lot of the people I worked with, they would prefer to read something and then hear about it. So they would do every reading that they could get their hands on and then take in the lecture and things like that. So everyone has a slightly different skill set, and a lot of this first semester of study is finding yours and not being afraid to try different learning styles, to try different things, to talk to your mentor, to talk to the FULSA people about what they find useful, but really giving yourself that opportunity to really find what works for you, because this is a long journey that you've embarked on, and trying to find out that perfect method can be really, really helpful.
And if I can just add something for those students, particularly students who are in the JD or who have graduated already from another degree or come from another discipline, and you probably think you have a really good idea of how much time study takes at university because you've already been successful in another degree, or you've been really successful in your workplace and you think, yeah, I know how long it's going to take to read. You're going to need to recalibrate those expectations while you're doing law. So I might be able to read a novel in a day. I'm a really fast reader, but it might take me 4 hours to read 25 pages of really dense legal material. So it's a very different skill when it comes to reading and thinking about how long things are going to take. So the expectation is at Flinders University that each topic, each 4.5 unit topic that you enrol in, you should expect to spend a minimum of 10 hours a week or 135 hours across a semester to get what we might call an average grade, which would be a high pass, low credit. Now that's no guarantee that you would get those grades at all, but it is about setting realistic expectations. So if you're enrolled in 4 law topics, you should expect that's the equivalent of a full-time job. And if you really want to give yourself the best opportunity, thinking about doing the reading, accessing the resources online, and factoring in time to do your assessment work, and in the JD in terms of taking it seriously to do your own attempts at the various tasks, you really do need to give yourself time.
Oh, can I say one thing on that?
I absolutely agree with that.
I also agree with that. Another thing that I've kind of cracked onto as I've studied more, don't be afraid to drop a topic and do 3 instead of 4. Life-changing for me, especially if you're working while you're at uni. Taking a little bit longer with your degree, I mean, everyone has different opinions on this, but I think it's absolutely fine, and it might just be the difference between you getting a credit average or a distinction average across your degree. Yeah, it's a good thing to think about.
And in terms of juggling work and study, in terms of your mental health, in terms of physical health, all of those things can really tie into that. Any final tips from either of you? Nope, perfect, thank you so much. Tanya, any final tips from you? Because I think we're going to draw to a close. I can't see any more questions online. We've technically got 8 minutes left, but we can always finish up a little early.
So my final tips are tips that I would give to any law student, but also to any law graduate who's finished their studies and is just really emerging into the world of legal work. And that is, first of all, I think, be really curious. So you're going to be studying in a particular area, particularly maybe criminal law or administrative law or tort law, but the best lawyers, the best legal professionals are people who can see the really big picture and who can start to join different disciplines together and come at new problems and think about them in a different way. So that's my very first tip, is be curious, be prepared to look for something new, explore, and be prepared to have your mind really opened and your horizons expanded. The next one is be creative, and that is about joining those things that haven't been joined before. So for example, we have in this country a fabulous example of legal creativity in the Mabo decision. So we had lawyers who looked at that whole issue in a brand new way, came up with new arguments. One of the cases that you do when you're doing torts, Donoghue and Stevenson, the case that you may have heard about of the snail in the ginger beer bottle, again, that case came because lawyers were prepared to be completely creative about the law. And there are many, many needs for really creative lawyers right at the moment, particularly in the area that I work in, where we think about law and emerging technologies. And the last, so curious, creative, and my last tip is be courageous. So it takes courage to get up every day and do something that's challenging, and a law degree is challenging, so it needs courage. It takes courage to think about, how am I going to behave as an ethical legal practitioner here? How am I going to form my own values? How am I going to think about what I consider is right and wrong and what justice is in this situation? And how am I going to think about what it means to live out my duty to the court, to the administration of justice, and to my clients, and not lose my compassion along the way? But how also am I going to put myself in the very best position that I can be in to make a powerful impact in the world with the knowledge and skills that I have? So even after 1 week of your law study, you will know more about the law than many people in our community. Knowledge is empowering, and knowledge can be used to make a huge difference in people's lives. And we need people who are going to be prepared to be courageous and step up and say, I'm going to make that positive difference. So we wish you all the very best for, well, I certainly do, for your studies this semester. We're delighted to have you joining us here as part of the Flinders Law community. We look forward to connecting with you for undergraduate students in person on our campus here and for JD students online. And most of all, we really look forward to seeing where this career is going to take you in the future.
Absolutely. I echo all of those points. And I think I just want to leave you by thinking about what happens now. Okay, so we've had this orientation, we've started to talk to you about what you can expect, things like that. I guess you can preempt that one of the things I'm going to say is jump online, have a look at Flow. There are also lots of orientation sessions running across this week. So this was the law specific one, but there are lots about how to get into good study habits, how to take notes, all of the different sessions that you can find through using that app, through looking at the schedule there. And I really encourage you to pick a couple of sessions and just have a look at them. You might attend live, you might watch them at a later date, but I think it's important just to know what's on offer and work out what suits you. The other thing I really encourage you to do, particularly those people in the room, is to introduce yourselves to one another. And when you come to your first class, for our undergrad students, for our JD students, when you come to the meet and greet, which once you log into Flow, you'll know what I'm talking about, just introduce yourselves to one another, get to know one another, because this is your support network, essentially. These are the people that are going to go through the topic with you. They'll be the people that you can turn to for tips and support and to ask questions of one another as we go through this journey together across the semester. So thank you for coming. Thank you to those online for tuning in, for answering all my poll questions. And I'm looking forward to working with all of you, whether it's in our JD or our undergrad throughout the semester. So we're going to end the session a couple of minutes early. So I apologise to those watching online. You'll see a blank screen and an empty room for 2 minutes. But please, if you do have questions, I think you can still post them through the app and I can answer them by responding to you directly, or you can always send us some emails. So I think our contact details are in the presenter information, I think that's what it's called, on the app itself. So please do feel free to get in touch, and thanks for coming along. And thank you to our wonderful senior student reps from Fulsra and the mentoring program.